It's essentially the most important story in Irish history, the story of the famine from 1845 to 1852, and nobody had ever made a film which explored that world or told any part of that story before. There's a lot of scope for interest outside of Ireland about this story. I think everybody's heard about the famine or the potato famine in Ireland, but nobody really knows the sort of intricacies of it. So it's a great opportunity. And Hugo actually was already interested in playing the part of Hannah when I became involved, and obviously that was a great lure as well, because I was a big fan of Hugo's work.
It feels to me like one of the hard things about making this film would be that actually the effects of what happened back in 1847, 48, 46 actually are still being felt in Ireland today. I think it's quite hard to make a feature film about something that is still very present. It's quite hard to see it when its effect is still so palpable. I don't know, is that...
Well, it's true. I mean, actually, Ireland is the only country in Europe that has a lower population now than it did in 1847. It's amazing to think this was only 170 years ago. But actually, in fact, it's now, and it's just in another place. And the complacency sort of exists in exactly the same way. Now we're sitting there, and we found it very hard to find extras in Ireland who could populate the film, because everybody is well fed. Even people who aren't well fed, even when you go and you try and find people who are ill, or you try and find people who are, but just to fill out the backgrounds, they're still fed much better than people who are really in places where there's nothing. And so all that stuff, I'm still trying to figure out how to make that relevant and how to make the film sort of chime in that way. But I think just the danger of complacency is a story that goes through the famine narrative and all the other famine narratives. You can look at other histories of famine in other places. It's very much the same story. I was always trying to stay a little bit away from the more modern politics, but as I said, you can't get away from it. It's just it's cooked into it, and it doesn't ever. You can't separate them entirely. I think that the famine was the beginning of a new surge of nationalism in Ireland. It was also the beginning of the Catholic Church really getting a whole extra sort of push in terms of support, and because it was a way to define yourself as other to England, and so all those things are still there, but it's hopefully a different world.
You certainly don't have to look very far in British politics to find politicians with the ridiculous and dangerous sense of entitlement that my character has.
Legend.
Wouldn't it have been better to have an Irish actor in the main role?
The first time we spoke on Skype, I knew he was the guy for it, and
I stopped shaving. No, really, I sort of stiff-armed most auditions that had come my way because I really wanted this one to happen. And I also learnt horsemanship, never ridden a horse before. And had I have waited until there was an official confirmation for this is in paper, this is happening, I would have been way too far behind to do all the horse stuff I got to do in this film, which was hugely rewarding. And then to go back to your question about me being Australian playing an Irishman, I'm pretty Celt. And from these troubles, people went to Australia, people went to Canada, people went to America.
All the great Australian heroes are Irishmen and women.
I mean, I've got enough freckles to feel like I was qualified to do it, and I had an immense challenge doing it too, to do those scenes in a language that I'd never even heard, or it was.
You nailed it.
Yeah, it was really. Yeah, it was tough
from an Irishman.
work and hugely fulfilling, and I'm really happy to be a part of it because it's a really meaningful story. And
I walk out of my house one day and I see this guy, James, is my next door neighbour. I say, "How are you? I think we're doing the same film together." And he starts speaking in a Dublin accent. The next day I meet him, we go out to a party with Vikings. He's speaking in a Kerry accent. So the guy in Vikings goes, "Where's that guy from? We're part of Ireland." By day 3, he had it down and he was speaking the accent the whole way through. I've never seen an actor so committed.
But I didn't keep that up the whole way through. It was just more of a feet on the ground in Ireland trying to trick all the locals to see if I had a shot. It worked.
There's a great history of foreign actors coming to Ireland and doing terrible Irish accents, you know. So we were very aware. I mean, I was really terrified that someone would start asking these questions that you just asked when we cast James. But actually, you know, his accent is flawless, and he learned to speak Irish. He sings in Irish.
Yeah.
He rides a horse in Irish. I mean, so he's
I ate the soup in Irish.
He kills Irish.
So I think it was good. Yeah.
Give me the stamp. Give me that.
No
part.
regrets there.
Yeah.
Yeah.